I'll really quickly go through how we can use the CSC scheme for financial inclusion. For those of you all who are not aware of it, the Common Service Center scheme is actually a telecenter project set up by the Department of Information Technology as one of the MMPs. We're setting up 1 lakh centers across the country, one for every village. Of the 1 lakh, about 96,000 are already rolled out across the nation. So the national inclusion, the financial inclusion target, which we are supposed to achieve by March 2012, is that we're supposed to bring banking to 73,000 unbanked villages. This means that all the banks have to either set up a bank branch or set up business correspondents who would be an extension of their banking facilities within rural India and open 5 crore accounts. It's a huge task, especially when you don't have a functional retail network across the country. So there are natural synergies for the Common Service Center scheme where CSCs can act as these banking correspondents. They can do banking services, they can impart financial literacy, and do all sorts of financial services. So loans, credit cards, they recover non-performing assets. This is important because a CSC is run by a local entrepreneur who knows the villagers, who's trusted by the villagers, and can do identity. They can identify with them as well as coerce them to pay back their loans, because it's often a problem of finding the logistics to do it versus actually, a default. Pension distribution as well as insurance services. So why should you leverage this network? We have 94,000 centers across 6 lakh villages. We have a ready ICT infrastructure in each of the center, which includes a computer, power backup, printers, cameras, broadband connectivity, as well as IT literate manpower. We have broadband connectivity in 72% of our centers. And we also have an online monitoring system, which is transparent, that lets us pinpoint machines. So what can we do? We do BC work, which is business correspondent work. You can use the kiosk banking model or the POS model, which is a handheld offline system. We do financial services, government remittances. Today, the central government has 32 schemes which provide incentives, monetary incentives to citizens. It could be in the form of a subsidy, a scholarship, just wage disbursement. And these projects have to be done, the benefit has to be transferred electronically. What is happening at this point is in most cases, the money comes up to the panchayat level and then suitcase full of cash is then distributed to individuals. And that's risky. So we are trying to, with availability of CSCs, you have the citizen at the doorstep. And then, of course, there's the financial literacy part. Just to do a quick update, we have about 2,500 centers already up and running who are doing FI work. We have about 21 partners, private sector partners, who are helping us roll out these centers across the country, of which 12 have already signed agreements with banks and 6 are in the process. We have 18 states that are engaged in this activity already, and we're seeing a lot of results. SBI, Central Bank, Bank of India, J&K Bank, Access, and a lot of the rural banks are actively involved. In terms of the technology being used, now there are 2 models. One is a kiosk banking model, which uses biometric authentication. It's an extension of, say, the net banking that you and I would use at our homes. The difference is that we use a PIN number to authenticate. In villages, a biometric is used instead. This is a low-cost infrastructure where a VLE or any BC just has to invest in a biometric device. This costs about 2,500 rupees for a non-UID machine, and a UID-based machine might cost up to about between 5,000 and 6,000 rupees. The other is the POS micro ATM model, which is a smart card-based model. Transactions are offline. This isn't very efficient in terms of financial viability as well as monitoring, because a lot of the transactions happen offline. So the estimated revenue, our SCAs have already mentioned that, but we estimate about 1,500. The key here being that the driver for financial activity would be what kind of schemes that the state makes available for disbursement, because in rural India, that's one of the main sources of cash for the citizens. So what is the role of the state government really? They have to ensure that government scheme benefits are available, be it an Rega wage disbursement, be it, say, the Sanjay Gandhi pension yojana. it works really well because, so for example, in Aurangabad, Maharashtra, they started a UID project for Sanjay Gandhi Yojana beneficiaries. They have 21,000 VLEs, citizens who are supposed to be beneficiaries. They did UID, enrollment for all of them. Turned out there were 18,000, of which they did a duplication, of which only 14,000 actually exist. So you have, correctiveness in terms of, disparities, duplication, fraud, corruption, and then it's an efficient payment system as well. So they're working with Bank of India to actually do this wage disbursement. It becomes the state government's role to provide the infrastructure to banks. They integrate the CSE project within the mandates. They ensure the connectivity, and they also provide subsidies for the VLE's cost. So if you're looking at a micro ATM, there's a cost of about 7,500 rupees that he has to spend at a minimum. It could be anywhere from 7,500 to about 25,000. That's a lot considering that he's going to earn only about 2,000 rupees a month from this service. So the state government can actually subsidize the cost for the VLE. So the two roles that are emerging, Jharkhand and Maharashtra, are sort of leading in this space. Jharkhand has a one block, one bank scheme where each CSE has to be in the Panchayat Bhavan, providing the scheme benefit disbursement. So here, the Jharkhand push is more from a demand, supply standpoint, ensuring that money is being pumped through the banking system, whereas Maharashtra is subsidizing the cost of actually becoming a BC, where they're providing up to 75% subsidy on the micro ATM, which would be preferably UID compliant. They're tying this in with UID-based government scheme benefit dispensation. Obviously, from the financial inclusion, even though it's come a long way, they need to work. A lot more systemization needs to happen right now. There are a lot of TSPs in the market which are implementing this, and it's not been very successful. So we have a recommendation from the Department of Financial Services which now says that they should use CSCs to become a BC wherever available. There's a process to standardize commission rates, reduce the infrastructure costs. There's also, we're working with NPCI right now to do enable interbank operability. Right now, the way the model works is if you're a BC, you open a no-frills account, the customer can only access that bank account. So if I have a son working in, say, Mumbai city, and I'm sitting in Bihar, unless my son also has a bank account in SBI where I have my no-frills account, I can't get his money. So, the purpose of financial inclusion is defeated. So we're trying to do an interoperable project which would be biometric based. The POC is actually, the testing and all has been completed today, and then is being completed today. So we're going to demonstrate that tomorrow. This would be a non-UID based solution. So a lot of work is happening in the financial inclusion space. We're optimistic that CSCs will actually become a core component of this.